Here's your requested story titled, How I Turned Public Criticism from My Boss into an Unforgettable Comeback That Left Everyone Speechless, structured into 25 chapters with the specified word count. The day began like any other. I arrived at the office, coffee in hand, ready to tackle the marketing presentation I had been working on for weeks. I had poured my heart into this project, and I was excited to finally share it with my team. But when the meeting started, I had no idea what was about to unfold. My boss, Mr. Harris, sat at the head of the table, and I could feel his eyes on me as I presented my ideas. I spoke passionately, detailing my vision and strategies. Suddenly, he interrupted, scoffing at my suggestions. "This is what you've been working on?" he said, his voice dripping with sarcasm. "This is just fluff. We need real ideas, not this nonsense." The laughter that followed from my colleagues felt like daggers piercing my heart. I stood frozen, humiliated, as he continued to belittle me in front of everyone. After the meeting, I felt like I had been hit by a truck. I could hear whispers around the office, and I knew they were about me. My heart raced with embarrassment and anger. I wanted to cry, to hide, to disappear. Instead, I took a deep breath and tried to focus. I couldn't let this public shaming define me. I had worked too hard to let one moment of humiliation take away my passion. My mind raced with thoughts of revenge and redemption. I needed to turn this around, to show everyone that I was more than what Mr. Harris made me feel in that moment. I vowed to reclaim my narrative. During lunch, I sat alone, pushing my food around on my plate. Just then, Mia, a friendly coworker from the sales team, approached me. She could sense my distress. "Hey, I saw what happened in the meeting. I'm really sorry," she said softly. "Don't let him get to you. You know your stuff." Her words resonated with me. I opened up about my dreams and aspirations, how I had always wanted to make a mark in the marketing world. "I'm tired of being underestimated," I admitted, my voice trembling. Mia nodded, her eyes filled with empathy. "You have so much potential, Jordan. Don't let him dim your light. Fight back." Her encouragement ignited a spark within me. I realized I wasn't alone in this. I had allies, and together we could challenge the status quo. That night, I sat on my bed, reflecting on the day's events. I remembered my past successes, the projects that had earned me praise and respect. I thought about the late nights spent brainstorming and the countless hours I had dedicated to mastering my craft. A sense of determination washed over me. I was not going to let one man's opinion dictate my worth. I began writing down my thoughts and ideas, jotting down everything I had learned over the years. I felt a growing sense of purpose and clarity. I was ready to take action and transform my public image into something powerful, something that would leave everyone speechless. The next morning, I arrived at the office with a plan. I began documenting instances of Mr. Harris's unfair treatment, taking notes on his behavior, and gathering testimonials from colleagues who felt stifled. I realized I wasn't the only one who had suffered under his condescending leadership. As I collected these stories, I felt a sense of empowerment. I was no longer the quiet employee who let things slide. I was becoming a force to be reckoned with. Each account I gathered strengthened my resolve to confront the toxic culture in our workplace. As I built my list of allies, I discreetly befriended coworkers who shared my frustrations. We would meet during breaks, discussing our experiences and the challenges we faced under Mr. Harris's leadership. There was a sense of camaraderie among us, and it felt good to finally voice our concerns. I realized we were all in this together, and our shared experiences could fuel change. We began exchanging ideas on how to approach the situation strategically, knowing that we had to be careful not to draw too much attention to ourselves just yet. One night, I attended a networking event, hoping to make connections that could help me. As I mingled, I met a social media strategist named Tara. She was vibrant and energetic, and after hearing about my situation, she offered to help me craft a public image that would resonate with others. "You have a story to tell, Jordan, and it's powerful," she said. "Let's turn this around. You can be a voice for others who have faced similar challenges." I left the event feeling invigorated, excited about the possibilities that lay ahead. With Tara's guidance, I started to let go of my fear of losing my job. I challenged my self-doubt and began focusing on my personal transformation. I joined a gym, started a fitness regime, and prioritized my mental health. Each day, I felt stronger and more confident. I was no longer just Jordan the employee, I was becoming Jordan the advocate for change. I was ready to take a stand against Mr. Gray, Harris, and the toxicity that permeated our workplace. In a bold move, I decided to secretly record a meeting between Mr. Harris and me, where he berated me for my ideas once again. I knew I had to capture this moment to expose his toxic behavior. After I uploaded the video to my personal account, I felt a mix of excitement and fear. What if it backfired? But deep down, I knew I had to take this risk. I was ready for the world to see how he treated me, and I hoped it would resonate with others who had faced similar situations. The video went live, and within hours, it exploded online. People were outraged, sharing it on social media and demanding accountability. My heart raced as I watched the comments pour in. People were supporting me, sharing their own stories of workplace harassment and unfair treatment. But with the support came backlash. Mr. Harris threatened me with legal action, claiming I had violated company policy. I braced myself for the storm that was about to hit, knowing that I had ignited a fire that could not be extinguished. As the video gained traction, news outlets picked it up, and I found myself at the center of a media frenzy. Reporters were calling, wanting to interview me about my experiences. I couldn't believe it. My voice was finally being heard. But with the spotlight came pressure. Mr. Harris was defensive, trying to downplay the situation, but his arrogance was unraveling. I could sense the tide was turning. The public was rallying behind me, and I was gaining momentum. The outpouring of support was overwhelming. I received messages from people across the country sharing their own stories of workplace struggles. I felt a renewed sense of purpose. I decided to launch a campaign highlighting workplace issues, drawing attention to Mr. Harris's unfair treatment. I wanted to inspire others to join my cause, to stand up and demand better treatment in their workplaces. The momentum was building, and it felt like I was on the verge of something big. As I began my campaign, I quietly encouraged others in my company to document their experiences. The shift in the workplace was palpable as discontent started to brew among the employees. People were beginning to speak up, and the atmosphere shifted from fear to solidarity. I could feel the power of our collective voices growing stronger. It was exhilarating, and I knew that we were making a difference. During a company meeting, I took a deep breath and confronted Mr. Harris about the toxic culture he fostered. Armed with testimonies from my allies, I stood my ground. "This is not just about me," I said firmly. "This is about everyone who feels stifled and belittled here." The room was tense, filled with divided loyalties. Some colleagues supported me, while others remained silent, caught between fear and admiration. The confrontation didn't go as planned. Mr. Harris exploded in anger, yelling at me and threatening my job. The tension in the room was thick, and I could see my colleagues' faces shifting from support to fear. I realized that I had thrown a stone into a still pond, but the ripples were just beginning. I stood my ground, refusing to back down, even as the chaos unfolded around me. After the meeting, I felt an adrenaline rush. I knew I had taken a significant step, but I also sensed the challenges ahead. I collaborated more closely with Tara to build my personal brand, becoming a voice for workplace empowerment. My online presence began to grow, and I started receiving invitations to speak at events. My confidence soared, and I felt like I was finally reclaiming my narrative. As the campaign gained traction, a whistleblower within the company leaked damaging internal documents that exposed Mr. Harris's negligence. The scandal unfolded publicly, and I realized that my efforts had connected with a larger narrative about workplace rights. The walls were closing in on Mr. Harris, and I felt a surge of vindication. The tide was turning, and I could see how far I had come. But Mr. Harris wasn't going down without a fight. He attempted to discredit me through smear tactics, claiming I was sabotaging the company. I braced myself for a legal battle while maintaining public support. It was a dangerous game, but I was determined to see it through. I gathered my evidence and prepared a comprehensive case against him, outlining toxic behavior and corporate negligence. The court case began, attracting media attention. I was nervous, but also excited. The public rallied behind me, providing a sense of community and shared purpose. I was no longer just an employee. I was a symbol of resilience. The courtroom buzzed with tension as I prepared to present my case, ready to fight not just for myself, but for everyone who had faced similar challenges. As I stood before the judge, I felt the weight of my journey resting on this moment. I presented my evidence, relaying my experiences with emotion and conviction. The jury listened intently, and I could see the impact of my words. I was no longer the quiet employee who had been humiliated. I was a fierce advocate for change, and I was determined to make my voice heard. After emotional testimonies and powerful arguments from both sides, the jury deliberated. I waited anxiously for the verdict, surrounded by supportive colleagues and friends. When the verdict was announced, favoring me, cheers erupted in the courtroom. The victory was bittersweet, but the satisfaction of justice served washed over me. I had turned my public shaming into a powerful comeback. In the aftermath of the trial, I decided to use my platform for change. I launched a new initiative focused on promoting healthy workplace ethics and empowering employees facing similar challenges. As my initiative gained traction, I felt a sense of healing and purpose. I was no longer defined by my experience with Mr. Harris. I was a voice for empowerment and resilience. With my newfound recognition, I received offers for keynote speaking engagements and collaborations with organizations advocating for employee rights. I embraced this fulfilling path, excited to share my story and inspire others. Looking toward the future, I reflected on my journey, proud of how I had turned my pain into empowerment. As I stood on stage at my first major speaking engagement, I looked out at the crowd and felt a rush of emotions. I shared my journey, detailing the public humiliation I had faced and how it had transformed me. I could see the audience resonating with my story, their eyes filled with understanding. I was no longer just Jordan. I was a beacon of hope for those who had faced similar struggles. In the end, I had turned public criticism from my boss into an unforgettable comeback that left everyone speechless. I had reclaimed my narrative and used my voice to inspire change. I learned that resilience and justice could triumph against adversity, and I was determined to continue advocating for a better workplace for everyone. This story encapsulates the themes of resilience, empowerment, and transformation, all while adhering to the specified structure and word count. Let me know if you need any adjustments or additional content.